Okay.
Or Tuesday, right?
Yes. Okay, if we can get started. I'd like to thank all of you who are attending here in person. Alex told me we could expect 50 to 80 people here. If you look around the room, you will see that is not true. Apparently everybody is sitting at their desk doing email and watching us at the same time. I hate to sort of be someone who's not wild about how the internet works, but gee, I miss everybody. So thank you to those who actually came in person today. And for those of you watching on the webcast and doing your email, come visit us next time. Maybe we'll serve coffee or something. Okay. So down to work. It's been less than 2 months since our last meeting. The amount of work that has been done by the folks in this room and the others who are at their desks, the amount of work they've done is actually quite astonishing. We have something like 20 recommendations to deal with today. So we have a full agenda. So first I want to congratulate everyone for all of the hard work and everything that's been accomplished. But then I'd like to get started right away so we can get done in a timely fashion. So first, the approval of the agenda. You should all have the documents, and if you don't, they're on the table just next to the door when you come into the room. The agenda is document WAC-007. Are there any comments on the agenda for today? Okay, if not, the agenda is deemed approved. The next order of business is the approval of the minutes from our initial meeting. That is document WAC-005. If you can all just grab that quickly. I'll give you just a minute to skim it if you haven't seen it already. Have you found it yet, Audrey? Okay. All right. Do we have any comments on the minutes of our initial meeting? If not, we will deem that document approved as well. Okay, on to substance. We have a report from the first meeting of the APT Conference Preparatory Group. That report is document WAC-017. And I'm going to ask Alex to introduce and discuss the report.
Thank you, Scott, and good morning, everyone. So this is a short report from one of our regional meetings that we follow, and as you all know, consistent with previous advisory committees, we will be informing you on preparations for the conference as they progress through the regional meetings, which are most important for the development of our proposals, because we need to be cognizant of what other regions are doing. This meeting has been primarily organizational, so there isn't a whole lot of information here, but they are focusing on agenda item 1.1, the mobile broadband, as well as a number of other agenda items. So I encourage you to examine it. Thank you. Okay.
I got my microphone to work, just saying.
Alex, anything else on your end?
No, that's it. Thank you.
Okay, very good. Diane?
Okay, let's move on to hear from our colleagues at NTIA.
Excuse me.
Sorry. Carry on, Don.
Thank you for helping us, Don.
We got to keep you honest. Don Jansky, Broadband Telecom. Are there any such thing as preliminary views at the APT? I have had ambiguous things about that, so I'd like to know. Thanks.
Yes, so not at this meeting, but they're planning their next meeting in next year, at which point they will be producing preliminary reviews and most likely proposals.
Okay, Diane is going to deal with the NTIA draft preliminary reviews.
Any other questions beforehand? Okay. So before I turn over to our colleagues from NTIA, let me just reference the documents. One is WAC 006 and the other is WAC 008 which are two letters transmitting preliminary views. And I know that our colleagues on the federal side have been very busy in parallel to the work of the industry folks, making very good progress in preparation for the conference. We've received interim additional input from NTIA that's provided for consideration, the two documents I just referenced. And the relevant IWGs have already started consideration of work on these documents. So let me turn now, if I could, to Darlene Drazinovich to offer comments from the NTIA side.
Thank you and good morning. In addition to the two documents you have here from NTIA, we're having another RCS meeting tomorrow morning, at which time we'll be reviewing the work that you have done here as it comes to us from the FCC. We'll likely have another preliminary view, and we have drafted a few more preliminary views. So I think in preparation for the CTEL meeting, which is coming up later this month, the United States will have a lot of preliminary views based on the good work you've done here and the work we've done and the federal agencies. Thank you.
Darlene. Okay, any comments or questions on Darlene's comments? All right, let's move on then to the first of the working group reports, IWG-1, Maritime Aeronautical and Radar Services. Let me invite Audrey Allison, who's chair of that working group, to report on progress from the working group. And please go to the podium.
Thank you, everyone, and good morning. IWG-1 is responsible for maritime, aeronautical, radar, and even more. And today we can report we've met 2 times, and we have, as you'll see on the agenda, 3 documents ready for your approval. The first one is document WRC-15 concerning agenda item 1.13 about increasing the 5-kilometer distance limitation and allowing space research service for proximity operations by space vehicles. The document 25 is based on the draft preliminary view that we received from the federal government. We improved it slightly, which is shown in a red line, and with that, it is available for your approval.
So let me ask if there are comments on this first WAC document. In the absence of comments, we deem it approved. Audrey?
Thank you. Our next document is document 26. It concerns agenda item 1.17 on wireless avionics intra-aircraft. Again, although we had prepared our own draft preliminary view, when we received the federal government's version, we decided to adopt that as our template and to improve that. So you'll see before you redlining that's based on the federal government draft with IWG-1 inputs on top. And so the form you see in document 26 as it is approved by IWG-1, and it's ready for your approval.
Any comments on WAC 026? Okay, in the absence of comments, we declare it approved.
Thank you. So the next document is 27, another draft preliminary view. This one concerning agenda item 1.18 concerning vehicular radars at 77 gigahertz. Again, what you see before you is based on the federal government's draft preliminary view with some minor changes shown in redlining. And the document here is what we've approved from IWG-1, ready for your approval.
Any comments on this document, WAC 027? Yes, please. If you could go to the mic, that would be great. Sorry for the folks online.
Bob Dockemeyer, Delphi. We are still digesting the impact of this set of radars in the middle of the radar band on automotive. So right now we're abstaining on it. We don't see a problem, but we still need to look at it.
So this is just a preliminary view.
Right.
Are you still looking at the preliminary view, or you want to, where we'll be turning to preparation of the actual proposals after this?
Right. We still want to consider after the proposal, but the preliminary view we're okay with at this point in time.
Thank you. Well, we invite you to come and participate in IWG-1.
Okay, so if you've expressed agreement, or at least acquiescence in the preliminary view, any other comments in response? So we declare this preliminary review as approved as well.
Okay, I do have another matter, if I could. We also reviewed the federal government proposals contained in document 8 of this meeting, and there was one concerning universal coordinated time. Now I got to find the agenda item here. I don't have them all memorized yet. Here we are, agenda item 114, which appears most of the way through this unpaginated document. So we reviewed the federal government view in WAC 8, and we agree with it completely and have approved it as also an IWG1 view.
Okay. Any comments from the audience?
Thank you. So my final comment is we plan to have our next meeting on, I believe it's October 30th, Tuesday at 10. I'll get a room at Boeing, but we'll also have a conference bridge. And that's following the CTEL PCC2 meeting, so we can take a fresh start looking at what happened there and work that's gone on. And at some point, we'll shift over from PVs into proposals. Thank you.
Thank you, Audrey. Okay, that was great. Turning to IWG2, terrestrial services, both our chair and our vice chair were unable to make today's meeting, so I'm hoping Alex will be able to report on the progress that IWG2 made.
Well, thank you. And I'm glad to report that IWG2 made impressive progress, and it's unfortunate that the leads cannot be here to take credit for it. They have produced a preliminary review on every agenda item assigned to them. Granted, it's only 4, but still, it's impressive.
I think people have trouble hearing you.
Okay, I'll try this. Okay, can you hear me now? First on the agenda is 2 preliminary reviews under agenda item 1.1, which deals with mobile broadband, allocations for mobile broadband. First is document 20, and this document proposes that WRC-15 should take no action on frequency bands allocated to radio navigation satellites service. And the IWG2 is concerned that new allocations in the RNSS band may interfere with systems such as GPS. And so here it is for your approval.
Any comments or questions on document WAC 20? Hearing none, that will be deemed approved.
Okay. Second document that we have under IWG2 is document 21 that calls for a co-primary allocation to the mobile service in the band 470 to 698 megahertz frequency range. This allocation would help address the mobile broadband spectrum shortfall. IWG2 also proposes not to change any existing allocations in this frequency band, thereby ensuring that countries that would have the flexibility to implement their second digital dividend on their own schedule consistent with their national requirements. And here it is for approval.
Okay, any comments or questions on WAC 21? Hearing none, that document is also deemed approved.
All right. Under Agenda Item 1.1, IWG2 is continuing to consider a number of other frequency bands, but this time they were not prepared to make a recommendation. Moving on to Agenda Item 1.2, the preliminary review produced by IWG2 is in document 22, and IWG2 noted that this agenda item pertains specifically to ITU Region 1, and therefore IWG2 recommends that any possible changes to the radio regulations under Agenda Item 1.2 should not impact Region 2, which is the Americas region. And here it is for approval.
Any questions or comments on WAC 22? Hearing none, that document is also deemed approved.
All right. Next is Agenda Item 1.3, and the preliminary review is in document 23. Agenda Item 1.3 considers the public protection and disaster relief and revisions to Resolution 646. IWG2 considers that the resolution needs to be updated, and the revisions to this resolution may include possible additional frequency bands with appropriate interference assessments and other necessary considerations. In this regard, I should note that IWG2 also considered the NTIA proposal in document 8, but prefers the version that they are proposing to this committee.
Okay, do we have any comments or questions on WAC-23? Hearing none, that document is deemed approved.
Okay, and the last one is document 24, which is a preliminary review on agenda item 1.4, which considers additional new allocations to the amateur service. And IWG2 supports a contiguous allocations of 150 kilohertz within the frequency range 5275 to 5450 kilohertz. And with appropriate mitigation techniques such as listen before transmit protocols to go along with this allocation.
Any questions or comments on WAC-24? Again, hearing none, the document is deemed approved.
And lastly, I should note that IWG2 already scheduled their meeting, their next meeting, but I don't remember what the date is. So please check our website, which is being updated constantly. Thank you.
October 15th, according
October
to
15th.
our pro here, Donna.
Thank you.
Okay, do we have any additional comments on IWG2 or any additional comments on documents received from NTIA or anything else people want to talk about before we move on to IWG3? Okay, hearing nothing further, we'll move on to IWG3, Space Services, and I'd like to invite Jack Wengernick to come on up and talk about the progress his team has made. Hey, Jack.
Okay, so good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and all of you on the phone. So IWG3 has held 3 meetings since the first WAC. We are responsible for space services, which is agenda items 1.5 through 1.12 inclusive. And I'll have something to say about each and every one of those this morning, because we've either developed a PV or we have something affirmative to say about the RCS view on each of those. So I'll take them in the document order as opposed to the agenda item order, because that's how they're listed on the agenda. So document 9, WAC 009, is dealing with agenda item 1.5. And this is considering the use of various FSS frequency bands not subject to appendices 30, 30A, 30B, the planned bands, for use by UAS. And we, in fact, have an agreed preliminary view on that agenda item in document 9.
Any comments or questions on WAC 009? Hearing none, that document is deemed approved.
Okay, so the next one is WAC document 10, and that's on agenda item 1.7, which is a review of the use of the bands 5091 to 5150 by the FSS for NGSO MSS feeder links. And again, we have an agreed IWG3 preliminary view in that document.
Okay, turning your attention to WAC 10, any comments or questions? Hearing none, that document is deemed approved.
Okay, so the next one is WAC document 11 on agenda item 1.8, which is a review of resolution 902, basically, based on studies conducted in resolution 909 on Earth stations on board vessels. And here again, we have an IWG3 approved preliminary view on that agenda item in this document.
Okay, if you review WAC 11, any comments or questions? Boy, it's hard to make this interesting. I can't even think of any jokes or anything. This is really tough. Yeah. Oh, Audrey says that's good. Okay, boring is good. Any comments or questions on WAC 11? Hearing none, that document is deemed approved.
All right, well, let me tell you a funny story about this one. No, I won't go there. So let's see. I think I'm on document 12 now, WAC document 012. This is on agenda item 161, which is a sub-item under 1.6, obviously, and it's to consider possible additional primary FSS allocations, both Earth to space and space to Earth, in Region 1 in the 10 to 17 gigahertz band, and we have an agreed IWG-3 preliminary view in this document.
Any comments or questions on WAC 12? Hearing none, I deem the document approved.
Okay, so now we're on to document 13, which is agenda item 1.6.2, which is the other part of agenda item 1.6. So this is looking for new additional primary FSS allocations in regions 2 and 3 in the 13 to 17 gigahertz band. And here is an approved IWG-3 preliminary view in this document.
Any comments or questions on WAC 13? Hearing none, that document is deemed approved.
Okay, so then we have WAC document 14, which is agenda item 1.10, which is to consider spectrum requirements and possible additional allocations to the MSS, Earth to Space, and Space to Earth in the 22 to 26 gigahertz band. So on this one, it's a slightly different flavor. This one is actually a proposed edit to the preliminary view that was sent over to us by NTIA. So it's an edit to the RCS preliminary review, which our views were very much in line, and we think this is a slight improvement. So I offer that.
Very good. Questions and comments on WRC-15? Hearing none, that document too is deemed approved. I don't remember everyone getting along so well last time I did this, is all I'm saying.
Yeah, wait for it.
Stay tuned. Stay tuned.
It's always good to start off getting along, but okay, so document 15 then is an IWG-3 preliminary view on agenda item 1.9.1, which is dealing with, what is it dealing with? Fixed satellite service in the 7-8 gigahertz bands. And again, this is a proposed edit to the RCS preliminary view that was in WAC document 008, and you can see the edits with revision marks, and this was agreed in IWG-3.
Okay, with regard to WAC 15, any comments or questions? Hearing none, that document is deemed approved.
Okay, and then the final document I have for your consideration this morning is document WAC 16. And again, this is on agenda item 1.12, which is looking at the Earth exploration satellite service in the, not basically the 9 gigahertz band. And again, this is a proposed edit from IWG-3 to the RCS preliminary view that you see in WAC document 006. So I offer that for your consideration.
Thank you. Okay, so with regard to WAC 16, any comments, questions? Hearing none, that document is deemed approved.
Okay.
Jeff, thank you. Any additional comments or questions regarding anything done by IWG-3 or any additional documents received from NTIA?
Okay, I do have two other things to say. We did look at the RCS preliminary view on agenda item 1.9.2.
Got it. Okay.
And I have been instructed to report that we have, basically IWG-3 has no concerns with that RCS preliminary view.
Fabulous. Any questions or comments on that view?
And then finally, on agenda item 1.11, same thing. We took a close look at it, and I am here to report that IWG-3 has no concerns with the RCS preliminary view.
You guys really are getting along great. This is fabulous. Any comments or questions on that? Very good. Jack, thank you so much. And thank everyone on IWG-3. That was an awful lot of work to get through. I appreciate it.
So that's every agenda item that was assigned to us. We haven't actually scheduled our next meeting yet. It's probably going to be the early December timeframe, but we'll coordinate it as best we can with the other IWG-3. IWGs.
Thank you so much. Okay. Turning next to Diane to introduce IWG-4.
Okay, thank you, Scott. So let me turn to the chair of IWG-4, Steve Baruch, to come up and report on IWG-4 progress. Thanks, Steve.
Okay, IWG4, regulatory issues. This is typically the caboose of the WAC train. It's slow to get started, but it eventually catches up and takes an inordinate amount of time at a WRC. So what we have for you today are two draft preliminary views. And the first one is on, we call it Agenda Item 9.1.2. This is relating to the CPM. First CPM report. There is no agenda item 9.1.2 on the conference agenda, so we're looking at the CPM CA 201, which had 8 items under agenda item 9 that are enumerated. So we've taken responsibility for all of those and have produced a preliminary view on 9.1.2. This deals with Resolution 756 and the coordination arc, further study issues. We're addressing one issue in this preliminary view, and that is the KA-band coordination arc, KA-band GSO FSS coordination arc, and our recommendation is at this point that we lean toward no reduction of the coordination arc in Appendix 5. So pending further studies, and I offer that one to you for approval.
Okay, thank you, Steve. Any comments on WAC 18 as described by Steve? Hearing none, the preliminary view is deemed approved.
Okay, thank you. And our second one, and I hope our chairman didn't jinx us, this is 9.1.5, which is another one of these agenda item 9 issues. And in this case, the resolution at stake is Resolution 154 from WRC-12, and we're looking at studies in Region 1 regarding the use of VSATs. And so VSATs for support of aeronautical and meteorological information in that region. And we have a preliminary view that encourages the participation and continuation of studies. So we offer that for your consideration.
Any comments from the group? We do have some that we've received online, but please go ahead.
Kyle, this was for next, though. I think we have some concerns about the U.S. viewpoint as articulated, and mainly that's while Resolution 154 does make reference to FSS not being a safety service, we would maybe appreciate more of a specific determination of that inside the U.S. viewpoint that would maybe account for that. And also, I believe it would probably better complement agenda item 1.1 and its purposes and the U.S. National Broadband Plan. I'm not completely sure that this, as written, is even the U.S. viewpoint as maybe was previously agreed to and adopted. So I believe that's our concerns. We do have concerns with accepting this as written.
Any other comments from the floor? Yes, please. As I said, I'll have several to articulate from online.
Oh, thank you. My name is Alexander Gerdenic with Motorola Mobility. And actually, I have similar concern as my previous speakers. But my first question is document why takes the U.S. a view on Region 1 on this issue? Because I don't think it would affect the U.S. in particular. Thank you.
We have Don first and then in the back. Please come up to the mic.
I'm here as an FSS person on behalf of SES, and they are an international operator of satellites which support VSATs. I think there was a lot of discussion on this at the WRC. I think it's something relevant to the United States in terms of preparing it. There's nothing in here that says that it is a safety service or has been or ever will be. So I don't understand that concern whatsoever. So I think there was a lot of discussion in advance of preparing this document. And it was an open discussion. There was a lot of edits, I believe, if the chairman can correct me. So I think it's not clear I think there's certainly justification, and I don't understand some of the other comments that have been made at all, and I'd like to support it going forward. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Don. Please.
Thank you. My name is Reza Refi. I'm with Intel Corporation. I'm the alternate representative for Ms. Jane Stankiewicz.
Speak up just a little bit, I'm sorry.
Yes, I'm Reza Refi with Intel Corporation. I'm an alternative representative for Intel and on behalf of Ms. Stankiewicz, who couldn't be here. We have concerns about this document, the band in question. At least part of it is an IMT band, and we would like to have opportunity for more discussions in IWG4 on this.
Thank you. One more in the back.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Jeanette Kennedy from Nokia. I'd like to support comments from my other mobile colleagues because part of this band is designated for IMT, and we feel that more discussion on this document is needed. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments from the floor? Okay, I should just also add that we've received communications from Amy Sanders with Alcatel-Lucent and from Amy Alvarez from AT&T with respect to this particular document, expressing similar concerns as those that were raised by other terrestrial mobile folks here at the IWG, or here at the WAC meeting live, expressing concerns about the risk of using this band for the transmission of aeronautical and meteorological information that might give it an aura safety status. And so they've asked that the document be returned to IWG4 for further consideration in light of the concerns. With that, Steve, it seems as if there's some concern about this document. Does it make sense to return it to the working group for further consideration?
Yeah, thank you, Diane. I think it would. I mean, we had a very brief discussion on some of these points and added language to the preliminary review that limits this to the resolution, but obviously in people looking at it, it needs some further elaboration of things that IWG4 has not considered at this point, so we'd be glad to take it back.
And thank you for providing us with an opportunity to have some interaction here at the WAC
yeah,
meeting.
So you get to have the fun. I'm just sitting here quietly.
Scott, you're controversial in and of itself. Okay, Steve, please continue if there are other comments you want to make.
Okay, thank you. I just want to make two further notes. One, we did not have any of the NTIA PVs within our mandate, so we have nothing to report with respect to materials provided by NTIA at this juncture. And then with respect to our next meeting, we have a TBD date targeted for early December. We were waiting, as of our last meeting, on when the next WAC meeting and CTO meetings were going to be, but knowing when those are now, I think we'll look at early December to get started on cleaning up some of these items and looking to new items.
Okay.
So,
thank you.
Thank you, Steve. So, I want to reiterate, there was an awful lot of work done by an awful lot of people between the last meeting and this meeting. So, I want to congratulate you all. You all made an awful lot of progress, and even when there's still some controversy on one issue, you guys have really gone a long way to getting stuff done, so I appreciate it. If you turn to back to WAC 04, the timeline for our meetings and preparatory work, take a look. The third meeting of our full advisory committee is set for March 7th at 11 a.m. That should, I think, allow all of the IWG sufficient time to initiate advanced development of their recommendations, to work out the couple of issues that still need to be worked out on the issues you've dealt with already. And I would also like to say, if Diane or I can assist with anything, I hope you'll feel free to reach out to us at any time. And with that, do we have any other business? Any other comments or concerns before I declare the meeting closed? That'll do it. Thank you all for coming. I really appreciate it.